The Smith Creek Restoration Project started primarily because of brook trout. However, it's led to a lot of community involvement. So right now we're 5 years into it, basically monitoring progress of the restoration activities.
Well, we have all kinds of different people involved out there, from the private landowners to students at James Madison to high school students. Just local people are interested in improving the streams and stream restoration. And there's a number of different groups, including the Forest Service, Virginia Tech, Randolph-Macon University, as well as a number of different nonprofit organizations like Trout Unlimited and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, which are also helping out with the whole restoration.
We have 20 to 30 different partners at least, and that's not including a lot of the private landowners. That the project couldn't be done without the private landowners. It just came to snowball. We started restoring the spring and people were interested and they wanted to help, and a landowner would hear about what we did and talk to us, and then he'd want to help. So it's kind of been just an evolving type thing, and we expect even more landowners or more partners to get involved in the future.
I had no idea, Mark, he, kind of asked me one day, do you mind if I have a couple of students that work with him in the summer, in programs? And then it just grew from there, and they were just fascinated, and they'd come up to me, you think I could bring a couple students down here? I mean, just to show them, some facet of where there'd be plant life, or, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? Come on back, bring the whole bus load, and it wasn't long where people just started, using it as their format. I'm interested that colleges will keep coming there and taking studies, and over I would hope I get to see of a 15-year study of the way it was as opposed to the way it is.
Hopefully some of the lessons that we learn from our research can be applied to other areas in the scientific community, as well as this gives a good opportunity for a lot of people to do a lot of different studies, not necessarily with fish, on stream restoration, because there's a lot of different aspects that go along with stream ecology and stream restoration. And there's a lot of good information that can be studied out there.
Because we have a lot of baseline data on that stream, it became a very useful one for us to start other studies that aren't so much connected to just whether there's E. coli in the stream or even whether it's being restored.
I think that the Trout Research Project, I look upon it as one aspect of improving the ecology in general. And I think that if it's successful, that the public will be educated by the effort, and perhaps that will extend what the public is willing to do.
We've identified through a watershed assessment other critical areas upstream in the watershed that if we could get the farmers or landowners to participate, it would speed the recovery. But there's been many other landowners that have given us access to their land to take water samples and things like that. They're interested in restoration, sitting back watching, and when they're ready, they'll approach us.
I once had a farmer tell me that as the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, or an environmental organization, sometimes we stand down in the stream and point up at the farm and tell them what they need to do, when he actually said, I'd like to invite you to my farm to learn about how I do things, and let's figure out what's going to work for me that will also benefit water quality. And that conversation I had with a farmer in the Shenandoah Valley years ago really changed my thinking on how we need to approach the farmers, and has been a much more successful way of doing it.
I don't think their motive is to just say, okay, you can't do this, but it's to educate people into the fact that yes, you can have agriculture right in the midst of this, but it's just the programs that we can do for you to help it so that you can use this stream for your water supply, but yet do it in a way that they're not lingering in the stream to cause it to depress, so that you don't have the other wildlife forms there.
Yeah, we always want to treat the private landowners with the most respect, because they're volunteering their lands and they don't have to do this. They're allowing this, and they're kind of on our team trying to help restore the environment, because they realize that it's good for them as well, for the goals we're trying to achieve. And we try to make the most effort to get permission, let them know we're going to be out there, tell them what we're doing, explain why we're doing it, and just kind of try to make them part of our effort and not just use their land.
We know a lot of farmers that are committed to making the water cleaner when it comes off their farm than when they received it. Healthy streams really are essential for healthy farms. You know, it really is a capital investment for a farm to put in an alternative watering system, stream fencing. But we're finding more and more landowners, more and more cattle producers especially, finding that it is profitable. When their cattle have clean water, they tend to have a better rate of gain, less illness, less vet bills. The herd health issue is huge for a lot of cattle producers.
Where I've done the restoration, I've seen the banks are really holding up better. Of course, the cattle can't get into the water, and that makes me happy, makes the government happy, makes everybody happy. And working with Mark, I didn't lose a lot of property the way we fenced it off. I didn't lose a whole lot of grazing land, and just the way we did the fences, it's worked out quite well.
Well, we've seen a lot of changes in the stream channel for the better. A lot less sediment, bank stabilization, all kinds of vegetation coming back where the cattle have been fenced out. And this is going to improve the stream definitely, and we've already seen some improvements in the stream habitat and the permeability of the gravels, which really means that we've started to reduce the sediment loads, and this is going to be good for the stream ecosystem.
The study's real important. Lots of people are doing restoration work. There's hundreds and not thousands of restoration work going on nationwide. But the critical part of the Smith Creek project is the detailed monitoring that's going on. So what mitigation practices are effective and cost effective. Just planting the trees and fencing on this small property was close to over $100,000. So restoring a stream or a mile of stream can be very, very expensive. That's probably the unique niche that Smith Creek has. Not only are we monitoring the effects of restoration, but we're doing that long term, just not for a year or two, but 5, 10, 15 years.
The fact that we do a lot of projects and sometimes there's not funding to do the monitoring is frustrating as a scientist. So what makes it so great in Smith Creek is we have these great partnerships and we have all these people that fill a niche. There's other organizations, there's other universities that are doing a really in-depth research once we put these projects in and working hand in hand with us on when we're doing them.
It's very unusual to have the fish biologists working with the microbiologists, working with the riparian ecologists, working with GIS specialists. The combination of the synergy of working with all the disciplines is one of its biggest strengths.
It's useful to work together, the scientific community, the state agencies, and the landowners with a common goal, which is just to make sure that the streams are as clean as they possibly can be, while at the same time having minimal impact on the farmers' livelihoods.
Well, the only thing I can say is I think it's a good thing, and it wasn't no expense with me because, I mean, I'm first generation farmer. I do not have the extra money to pump water out of the creek when I've already got it. And with working with that, it worked good for me that it's no money out of my pocket, plus I'm doing a good thing for the community, the creek, and everything. I mean, people drive past, and I would think they would see that farmers are doing their best. And what we got to work with, financially wise, I would like to think they see that and look at it and hopefully improve their yard.
And I hope the people of the valley, as a result, will get more beautiful, more usable streams that they can feel like it's safe to be in. A lot of these streams, honestly, I would not allow my grandchildren to get in them, because if you got a cut or something, you could end up in the emergency room. And so I hope we get streams that are more like I think our grandparents would have seen or earlier would have seen if they had been in this valley.
Well, all the water flows downstream, so it's from the headwaters to the ocean. Everyone is influenced by this, and a lot of people, this is their water supply, and a lot of the farmers in the area, this is their livelihood. So clean water and habitat for fish and wildlife is important to everyone, and it just starts at the small stream and just works its way all the way down.
Well, it's a good feeling that you're doing your part, and as most farmers, they want to do their part. I think a lot of farmers are probably doing more than their part than what Maine society is. And when it comes to the banks and stuff like that, it looks good when I go down there and see the dirt not falling in the water. And vegetation is growing, you know, on the side of the banks, and it just looks a lot better.
It's been amazing to watch the streams. They actually narrowed in some places and gotten a little deeper, and just to watch and that's, I don't know, it's neat to be able to go and I think walk through the area now and see. It's just something different. It's really different. I look at it that, you know, we keep take, you know, and just, and we're, you know, sometime you have to, you know, give back, because, you know, it's not going to be there in generations to come if we just keep running this certain areas over, and, you know, then population maybe moves in and stuff, and you know, you got to preserve sometime. At least that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I try to walk, you know, when the weather's right, I do it every day, because there's always something going wrong. The cows have gotten over the fence in the creek, or somebody's thrown trash from the bridge, or something else dire is happening, so that you have to monitor. Because the pressures of the population are so great, you can't just do it and hope that nature is going to take its course. It doesn't.
So it's been rewarding. I don't know, I'm waiting for the next move. Time and life goes on, and hopefully that I'll be able to keep this going.